This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
Hello and welcome to a Wednesday edition of C2C Rankem. I'm the host, Big B, along with my counterpart, co-host, halfway around the world, the Primus, Tim Hendricks. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. Wasn't so excited for this for Sunday, but yay. Other than that, I'm excited. I'm excited to do this show. I came up with a good idea. I think I came up with a good idea. So
yeah, I think this was a good idea. Talking backstage a little bit, I think it was a good idea. Also, yesterday, for those that are mine and Tim's age, who want to remember those we lost in the Challenger explosion. Yeah.
Yep.
38 years ago. It's one of those dates for me. I remember it. I couldn't tell you the date until somebody posts it on Facebook or something, but it's one of those things. So, I was in third grade watching it. I remember my teacher crying. As we're watching it, we didn't know how to feel, but there was a lot of people on that. There was a teacher on that too, I think.
Yeah, that was the funny thing is because I was telling Em last night when we were talking about it, and I told her my story, and it was weird because my second grade teacher my second grade teacher, Terry Aren, was actually a graduate of Kingsford High School with my dad. It's graduated the same year and was actually a semifinalist to be on the Challenger.
Oh, really?
So it kind of hit a little close to our school, and it was definitely weird. It's just still to this day. I think a lot of us in our generation look at the Challenger disaster as this generation's JFK, much like 9/11. Because everybody, I know my mom and my dad could tell you vividly. They could tell you to the second when they heard about John F. Kennedy. They heard about it. You and I were unlucky enough to watch that live on TV. That's like this generation's 9/11. We
yeah,
could
you got.
I mean, then too.
For our generation, you got the Challenger. Then kind of our generation, but probably our sisters and brothers. You got the O.J. Simpson. Then 9/11, and now COVID, I guess, would be the big things. But
yeah.
Well, with that being said, also January is a big month for birthdays for me. We're not doing birthdays today, but happy heavenly birthday to my Aunt Tammy. Also, happy birthdays to my two cousins, Jesse and Jeremy. Big month for us for birthdays. So
yeah, and I've got two in mine. I've got my stepson Andrea, and then my nephew Roman, Ryan's son. So yeah, I know exactly how that goes.
Yeah, but so with that being said, let's get into it. We got we'll start with our two states that we got left for people born in, and then we're going to break down top 5 athletes in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And then we'll break down our blind 5 at the end. So Tim, let's get started with Pennsylvania. And again, we try to do our homework, but if we say somebody that technically wasn't in Pennsylvania born, we're sorry. So looking at my list, I do have a double up.
I don't.
What's that?
I don't.
Okay.
I could have had a quadruple up, but I'm like,
oh yeah,
no.
this one could have been a good one. I'm going to go 4. I'm going to
I-
start it off high. I'm going to go 4, but I could see 5.
I don't see 5. Because I kind of have a curveball-ish, but I like
Okay.
your 4. I think 4 is a possibility.
All right, well, let's get going.
All right, so I'm gonna start off in the scripted squared circle, and the guy claims that he won an Olympic.
Are you talking about the scripted square circle as in wrestling, or a scripted square circle as in football? Because everyone
No, that's the gridiron. No, the scripted gridiron in Kansas City. No, I don't know. No. The scripted squared circle that I think we love as a I think it's a passion of ours that we love it. And I think my brother was lucky enough to meet this guy when he was an amateur wrestler. And I remember my brother coming back from a wrestling camp going, I don't know. I met this one guy, but I don't really know who he was. And I'm like, well, where was he? He's an Olympic wrestler, and he's just like okay. I'm like, all right, cool. And then there was one time where he shows up on WWE and he goes, "That's the guy I met. That guy right there is the guy I met because I know him from to a T." But he used to be he used to go around saying, "I won an Olympic medal with a broken damn neck," and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And then, but he leans into everything, and I love the fact is he's not afraid to wear his emotions on his sleeve when you see it. He actually, when he came back as the general manager, when they used to do you suck during his walkout, he actually started to orchestrate it and started to be the conductor of it.
Nope.
A Hall of Famer. I honestly probably well deserved. One of the few Olympic gold medalists, Olympic athletes in WWE. I'm going to go with the American gold medal winner, Kurt Angle.
All right. My number 5 is a funny guy. He probably stands, 5'2"? I don't know. He's a small guy.
And the funny thing is, if it's a guy I think it is, it's another guy my brother met and actually had a conversation with him.
Yeah, he seems to be, just on commercials now, but for a while there, it seemed like he was in every movie, especially if he was with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who was in all his movies. Funny comedian. I like listening to him. My number 5 is Kevin Hart.
The funny thing is, this is my little thing is I hope the Eagles win. I hope the Eagles win next weekend, because the last time the Eagles won, a drunk Kevin Hart tried to get on stage to go.
Oh yeah,
I got it. I prayed.
That was before he got. I mean, he was famous, but he wasn't like that big household name.
Yeah, and I'm like, God, please let Philadelphia beat the Chiefs this week. Next week, that'll be great. No, that's a good one. My brother catered the homecoming program for the Florida Gators at Gator Growl, and he was the headliner.
All right.
So yeah, my brother. Supposedly, my brother's out there going. Supposedly, there's pictures of me in the background of a couple Aziz Ansari, Kevin Hart photos from that luncheon, from that dinner. And I'm like, okay, if you can find them, I'll put them up.
All right, number 4.
My number 4. Let me see what I have on number 4. I'm so afraid to touch my computer this year to see if I lose a whole thing again. We talked about our childhood. Challenger was right around that time, and I think, we grew up, and this is one of those guys that, we watched as kids, and he always seemed to show up right before Sesame Street, and they had Tom Hanks play him in his biopic. And another thing, I think he actually did a special show about the Challenger explosion too. But when he's one of those most kind-hearted souls, and never had an ulterior motive. And it's funny is when you make it big is when SNL makes a skit about you with Eddie Murphy. And it's hilarious. I grew up watching him. Mr. Rogers himself, Fred Rogers.
Yeah, I missed that one. My number 4. Well, it's a double up. You got half of it at your number 5 with Kurt Angle. The other part of that is one half of, in my eyes, the greatest tag team around. I got to make the guy giggle a little bit. When they asked my son if he wanted to wear the pads, I said no, he hasn't earned that right yet.
I missed him.
My 5B with Kurt Angle is Joe Laurinaitis, aka Animal of the Road Warriors.
I missed him. I
was actually shocked. I thought he was born in Chicago, actually.
Yeah, from what I heard, I thought he was too. The other one that I thought I saw was Eddie from Axe from Demolition, and I'm like, I didn't see him at all.
Your number 3.
Wow, that one is amazing. My number 3, I was lucky enough to see his artwork here 2 years ago. I want to say, but he's done iconic things along the lines of the Campbell soup can, the Marilyn Monroes. I've got lucky enough to see 6 of those. Have pictures on my website. On my website, yeah, like I have a website. On my Facebook page, I went at everything. Absolutely, I still feel blessed that I went to see it. One of the icons of the '70s, in the pop culture, the pop art phase. And I guess I didn't realize this either, that he had filmed things, but he spent time in Italy, and I didn't know that until I went to this his art exposition in Gallerate, and I thought that was amazing to find out. My number 3 is Andy Warhol.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and I thought he was from like Wisconsin or something, and I'm like, I didn't realize he was from Philadelphia. He was from Pennsylvania.
All right, my number 3. I just want to check something here because I just had a typical just lost what I was thinking at. Just want to make sure I get. Okay. All right. So my number 3 is, yep, we got Super Bowl in a couple weeks. I don't know, some people consider him probably the greatest Bears player alive, or all time, I guess, not alive, but for me it's Sweetness, but this guy is up there. I got George Blanda at number 3.
How did I miss Blanda? I saw so many people in Pennsylvania that were sports stars that I could have had Ditka at this point. And it was weird how many people were born in this state.
You're number 2.
I thought Joe Montana. Okay, I'm gonna ask. I have to look this up, but I thought Joe Montana. I know John. Oh, he went to Notre Dame. I'm like, who am I thinking of? Why am I screwing that up? Oh my loving God. Okay.
What?
Oh, well, I just found out where Joe Montana's from.
Okay.
And I didn't see it on the list. That's how makes it bad for me. You become probably one of the greatest crossover. Keep my wife out of your mouth. Probably one of the greatest crossovers from rap into acting. Used to be July 4th was his date, and for 7 years it was the truth. He was the box office god for the summer, and you couldn't help it. But I respect him for what he does. I love Bad Boys. I love Fresh Prince. I think everything he's one of those guys. Everything he does, he touches, it turns to gold, and it's crazy. I'd like to have that Midas touch, but you have to double check to make sure when somebody in their theme song of their show says West Philadelphia, born and raised. You kind of have to double check to make sure it's possible and it's right. And There's like 2 baseball players with this guy's name that aren't from Pennsylvania. So I had to double check to make sure those guys weren't it, or this would have been a triple up.
I think there's also a football player too with the same name.
I think so too. I think he's a center for remember, Las Vegas or something. But yeah, the one, the true, the only, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air himself, Will Smith.
Well, at number 2, like you said, the king of, I think it was the 90s was all 90s and early 2000 was always Will Smith. So Will Smith, like you said, he's SARS, gold to platinum, his movies, whatever he touches. I mean, he was one of those guys that you get his opinion on something, it's gonna turn gold or something. So all right, you're number 1.
My number 1. Well, I might have made this a double up if I had realized that Joe Montana was born in Pennsylvania. I didn't know that. Okay. And I think, and if I'm not mistaken, Dan Marino was too. And I forgot that one because Dan Marino went to Pitt. I think Tony Dorsett went to Pennsylvania. This could have been a million day list. But I am going from the guy who played high school football at Lower Marion High School in Philadelphia. Born in 78. So he would have missed both of our lists last week. It's going to show up again in one of my lists later.
Oh, okay.
Got the love of basketball from his dad, Jelly Bean, who just passed away last year. Died. Matter of fact, we just had his fifth anniversary of his helicopter crash in Calabasas.
Yep. January 26th.
Yep. Yeah, 3 days ago. Yep. But we lost too soon, but we didn't lose him in the basketball court too soon because he had retired a couple years before that. I'd have loved to see him coach. I absolutely would have loved to have seen him coach. I think him and Michael Jordan would have been amazing to watch coach against each other. We're not going to get either of those, so it doesn't really make a difference. But my number 1 is Kobe Bryant.
You start talking about Joe Montana and somebody, and I'm like, you're going to miss this guy, but I see how you turned it around. But my number 1 is your number 1. Jordan, I don't think had the idea to coach. Kobe, I could see be coach.
Yeah.
And maybe not even in the men's game. I think maybe in the women's game. I think he would have.
I think he would have been great with the Sparks. I think he would have been. I think he would have been an amazing coach for the Sparks.
Yeah, I think he would have done great things. Yes, when the news broke, I saw on my Facebook feed that, or actually a buddy messaged, and I'm just like, you shut up, one of those things. And then I turned on K-Fan, and they were talking about it. There were so many people involved in that are still alive that everybody thought they were in that helicopter. Mm-hmm. And, for Kobe and his daughter and the 5 others that were in there.
6 others, yeah.
Yeah, the pilot and the teammate of his daughters and the parents, I think. So
it was weird because when I remember and when I heard about it, and I was literally shocked, and I told it to M. I texted to M, and she's like, "No way!" And I'm like, I wasn't expecting her to know who Kobe Bryant was, and then I realized that Kobe's dad, Kobe knew Italian, he spoke fluent Italian. He lived in Italy for a brief period of time because his dad played pro ball here. So yeah, it hit big over here too. It'd be like if Jordan.
It was a big thing. I mean, us guys here at C2C were partnered up with another network, and we did an hour and a half long show, I think.
Really?
On the anniversary of his death. But yeah, so all right, so that's Pennsylvania. Let's move on to Rhode Island.
Nope.
I had the trouble. You said you didn't, so this will be kind of interesting.
No, I had a huge trouble in Rhode Island.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. I'm going to play it safe since we both had trouble. I'm going to go 2.
Yep, I'll go 2. I go 2, and I kind of stole your Homer Thunder on one of them.
Oh, I missed that one. So
go ahead. You get to lead out.
My number 5. Later this year, I will get to meet his brothers at a wrestling event.
Who did I
But
miss?
we'll go with the third Dudley boy, or one of the many Dudley boys. But we'll go with number 5, Spike Dudley.
I thought you were going to say Dick Dudley. No. Okay. I don't feel
As a
so
matter of
bad.
fact, I've already met Devon once. So
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I saw the pictures.
All right, you're number 5.
My number 5, I went to the silver screen. I went to a director. If you've ever seen Me, Myself, and Irene, there's something about Mary, Dumb and Dumber, Dumb and Dumber 2. You know, it seemed like these guys love to put Jim Carrey in just about anything they could. I'm afraid to show my wife There's Something About Mary, especially the one scene with Cameron Diaz and her hair all up. And the funny thing is, I wanted to put both of the guys on here because they were both directors, and then I realized that one was not born in Rhode Island, so I kind of had to split it up. So I'm going with half of the directing duo of those movies, Bob Fairley.
All right, my number 4. I believe she's now currently a talk show host, but I think I remember her in doing the daytime version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think it was. Yeah. I don't know much more about her. Looked her up, made sure she was from there. Meredith Verna.
Yeah, I saw that one on there, and I almost put her on because that's how much bad time I was having with this.
Nope. Number 4.
My number 4 is a writer who's into the horror genre and the horror and the suspense and the science fiction and the fantasy. If you really got deep into books and you really got your lore about those genres of books, you know exactly who this guy is. My number 4 is H.P. Lovecraft.
All right. My number 3, when MTV was big, they had a show. Now I can't even think what the show was.
Tough enough.
Road Rules, I think it was called, where they had a bunch of people live in a beach house for the summer and stuff like that. He got popular off of that.
That was
Jersey Shore.
Yeah, Jersey Shore.
Yeah. And I believe he kind of dabbled in wrestling for a little bit in TNA. My number 3 is the DJ, Paulie D.
Yeah, I can't stand that guy. There's no way I was going to put him on.
Yeah. He was one of the last ones.
Yeah. Of course, because he's at number 3. So, yeah, you kind of have to think.
Yeah, you're number 3.
My number 3, I've seen this guy play for the Tampa Bay Rays during their runs. Long since retired. But, hey, guess what? Brandon knows him quite well. He is now the manager of the Minnesota Twins.
Oh.
My number 3 is Rocco Baldelli.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat, I think.
If you don't win a title, if you don't win a division championship, I think you are.
I thought he'd be on the hot seat this year. I'm surprised he's coming back. But my next guy, well, my number 2 is a guy, so that throws off any chance of a woman. Played in many different films. I remember him, or I've seen him on Any Given Sunday. I'm trying to look at. It was a Stuart Little too. Okay.
Great. It just makes. Who did I miss?
Yeah. I'm looking to see if anything else jumps out of me because I thought I remember him being a cop in a TV show or a movie I watched, but Scary Movie 2, The Casino.
You say that, and the first thing is I'll remember exactly what movie he was a cop in.
Yeah. Well, he was actually in the movie Cop, but that's not the one I remember. But my number 2 is James Wood.
He was a cop in. Oh man, I know exactly what you're. I can't remember it right now, but yeah, I remember. No, he was an actor in a cop movie who was trying. He was doing a backup. He was doing. He was doing. No, he was a cop in a movie too. He was in a cop in a couple movies, but yeah, was he playing a cop in a. He was trying. He was being an actor and he was trying to learn a role. He was following a cop around. I know that one. I just don't remember the name of that. But oh yeah.
All right, you're number 2.
My number 2. My dad was a big boxing fan and was actually a big fan of this guy. And when you realize his name and you go, I didn't think he was from Rhode Island. He's a Puerto Rican boxer who actually comes from, I want to say, Providence. If anybody knows, I didn't put. Oh no, he was from Connecticut. But he's a multi-time world champion. He's lost to Mayweather. He lost to Pacquiao. He lost to Canelo Alvarez. But then again, at this point, who hasn't? He's 41-6, but he's won 3 world championships at 3 different weight classes. And shockingly enough, he's from Rhode Island and he's Puerto Rican. It's not gonna. I'm hoping this doesn't get me canceled for after saying that. My number 2 is Miguel Cotto.
Okay. My number 1, funny actor, comedian. As a matter of fact, the TV show that I loved him in.
Thank God we got one.
He was brilliant as a judge. Lost him a couple of years ago, I think it was. Let me just look.
Wow, we're at least 5 at 6.
2018.
Yeah, the year I moved here, so 6, 7 almost.
Yeah. Harry Anderson from Night Court.
Well, it isn't C2C unless we're sniping, and it's the phrase that pays. My number 1 is your number 1. I saw Harry Anderson, and I thought, I gotta put him on. I just saw a clip of him on Cheers.
Yes, I was going to bring that clip up where he
takes the money from Cliff. Yeah.
Well, when Cliff tried to bet him on drink that he can't drink it under the table or something.
Right. And the funny thing is, Harry's born on my wife's birthday, October 14th. Yep. So just a couple years earlier.
We won't say.
We won't.
All right. So let's get into the fun topics here. So we're going to pick. This will spin off into another episode that we'll do probably next week, if not the week after.
Right.
So top athletes of certain decades. So we're going to start with the 1980s. And again, I don't think we're going to get. I mean, we're going to get some snipes, but I don't think it'll be a lot. I do have a double up in this one.
I don't.
I'm going to play it safe and go 3.
God, you don't have any hockey. So I got to say 4 because I don't think you have a hockey player.
So, all right. Well, let's kick it off.
Well, let's start off with my hockey player. Let's get that out of the way right now, I guess.
All right.
When you're the great one, you kind of have to be put on a list. And when you broke most of your single season records in the 80s, you kind of have to be put on a list. And when you come in 79 and you don't leave until the mid 90s, you kind of own the 80s for a long period of time. And you made and this is gonna make a lot of NHL people really unhappy. When you make the Edmonton Oilers relevant again, and then the LA Kings relevant, you have to be on some lists. My number 5 is the great one himself, the former head coach of the Arizona Coyotes, or the Phoenix Coyotes. Okay. Said that out loud. Wayne Gretzky.
My number 5 is a tennis great. Who, kind of like you said, dominated the 80s, like Gretzky did. Played a little bit into the 90s, I think, but Martina Navratilova.
When you said to tennis and then you said she, and I'm like, oh no, I forgot Martina.
You're number 4.
My number 4, a guy gets drafted again. Another guy who gets drafted in 1979, and then your team becomes the team of that decade, and then you become the greatest for the longest time. You become the greatest, and that sport for up until some jagoff in the 2000s becomes better. They're still questionable. I think if you put this guy behind the New England Patriots, I think this guy breaks any record that Tom Brady has. But they gave away his nickname. This bothers me when you give another nickname to another guy for again on a team that he beat twice in the Super Bowl, mind you. Both of them comeback victories in both of those Super Bowls. And a guy I missed not realizing he was from Pennsylvania just more than 7 minutes ago, forgetting that he was from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania. My number 4 is the original, the only Joe Cool, Joe Montana.
All right, number 4, my double up. I put them there together because in the 80s it was either this guy or that guy, his team or that team. They met multi times in the finals. Probably the best one-on-one rivalry in basketball. I don't think anybody can top it. They had a Sega or Nintendo game that was Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson. So I gave it away. My number 4 is Larry Bird versus and Magic Johnson.
There was a Bird versus Jordan too.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Golly. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. It's the phrase that pays. Golly, this one just bothers me. I didn't think about it. Doubling them up was a bright idea. My number 3 is half of your number 4. Your number 4, right?
Yep.
Larry Bird.
All right. My number 3 will go to the Olympics.
Oh, you would
possibly one of the fastest guys in the world at the time. Every time he got on a race, he was the odds-on favorite and won most of them. My number 3 is Carl Lewis.
Golly, I forgot Carl Lewis. Because
all
this
right,
is
number 3.
My number 2.
Number 2
is the phrase that pays again. You have him at number 4B. I've got him at number 2. Mr. Irvin Johnson himself, Magic.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep going with the phrase that pays because at number 2, I got your number 4. Like you said, he's the original Joe Cool, Joe Montana. So your number 1, which I'm kind of curious on.
Oh man. When Mike Ditka tells you that his biggest regret is this guy doesn't get a touchdown run in the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
It kind of and he gave it to Refrigerator Perry. I think that was he to this day. I think that's the one he's going to bite. You kind of brought him up when you said the greatest. When you brought up George Blanda, to me, this guy hands down is probably the greatest running back. Not hands down. There's a lot of argument there, but to me, probably the greatest Chicago Bear of all time. My number 1 is Sweeten himself, Walter Payton.
I should have had him up there. Because when you had your number 5, I had him at number 1. Mr. Wayne Gretzky, who's I think is honestly the first one to sign a 10-year contract with the Kings and then gets traded. I think
he gets traded and then he goes. Yeah,
arguably Gretzky. You take away half his stats and he still leads the league in points. So.
Yeah, it was funny because what would they say? You take away his goal, he still leads the league in points.
Yeah, something like that.
Because he still has assists. It's like,
yeah. All right, so let's move into the 90s. It was a good list. I'm going to stick with 3. I'm going to go with 3 again.
It depends on what you do. It really does. No, I don't have a double up. I don't have one at all. I like your I like your 3. Go for
All
it.
right. I'm going to start with number 5. That's a good place to start.
A good start considering we've got 5 of them.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the guy that probably I could have probably paired him up with his counterpart as being the best two-way player, two-sport athlete. But this guy's the only guy to play baseball and football on the same day. He's also the only one to hit a home run, I think, and score a touchdown in the Super Bowl World Series.
He's the only one to play in a World Series and a Super Bowl.
Yep. And that is one Mr. Neon himself, primetime Deion Sanders.
I think 3 is okay. I think we got 3. We're fine.
All right. You're number 5.
You know how I brought up the scripted squared circle before?
Yep.
Well, we're going to go with the unscripted squared circle. Technically, when you're considered, he's got, to me, still has the greatest sports line in history. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I think that's amazing. The guy is considered was considered the most dangerous man in the planet before Ken Shamrock. You know, I will fight Ken Shamrock on that one until the day I die, which would be the day I fight Ken Shamrock. But you know, if he didn't get into his legal troubles, who knows what his numbers would look like. Another guy who has a video game. Matter of fact, I think Deion had a video game too, didn't he? No, his counterpart did. Bo Jackson did. I know that. But my number 5 is the Iron Man himself. Iron Man. I'm sorry. I apologize right now. He's not the Iron Man. That's somebody else. My number 5 is Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Iron Mike Tyson. Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting to see, where that career would have gone if he didn't get into legal trouble. My number 4, you brought up Sweetness. I can bring up this guy. I think it would be a good debate to see who would, be 1-2 as the greatest running back. And some people will say, well, you got to throw Emmett in there.
No, I don't. I put
Emmett had a very nice offensive line to work behind. But this guy was so shifty and could stop on a dime and then go back to full running in a matter of less than a half a second. He's probably got the most yards rushing between the sidelines and behind the anywhere if you really add it up. And that's my number 4 is Detroit Lions' own Barry Sanders.
I put Dickerson ahead of Emmett all day long.
Yeah.
Well,
you're number 4.
It seems like you're the one that's sniping me all day. Usually it's my job to do all the sniping. You've decided to cut me off at the throat. That's nice. But it's the phrase that pays. It's not C2C unless you're sniping. My number 4 is your number 5.
What the heck here? Okay.
I'm going to say,
you had Deion at 4, huh?
The last time it got stuck, you decided to take off.
Yeah. Yeah. My number 3, I think she revolutionized the tennis world for the women's side of things. I think she really brought the popularity to her. Her and her sister dominated when they were younger. Couple injuries, couple births. They're not the same. But my number 3 is one half of the Williams sisters, Serena Williams.
Wow. Remember that when the 2000s come up.
Yep. All
right. My number 3, we talked backstage. I think we talked backstage. We didn't put baseball players on our lists, and I did right here, matter of fact. I think honestly, if he doesn't get hurt, I think for that little brief period of time, I think the Seattle Mariners look like they're a dynasty. I think we've had this discussion where A-Rod doesn't leave. I think this kid, I use the word kind of in a pun, tongue in cheek, and all at the same time. I absolutely, and it's nice to see the sports cards now are getting his autographs in them, and I think that should have been done a long time ago. The Seattle Mariners kid himself, my number 3 is Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah, Griffey. There's a lot of of those. Yeah, Griffey's up there. I should add him on there. But my number 2.
4.
What?
You can forget 4.
My number 2. What can I say? I think he single-handedly put golf on the map. For what he did, I know I wouldn't be playing it as much as I do if I wasn't watching him in the 90s. And that's one Tiger Woods.
Wow, I swear you're looking at my 2000 list.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah, but he started off in 97, 96, 97.
Yeah, there was a reason. That's why I put him in the 2000s because he
Yeah.
was. Well, that's
All right,
okay.
you're number 2.
I get it. We can forget 3. My number 2. Don't worry, I've got you covered. My number 2 is the phrase that pays. It's not C2C unless we're sniping. My number 2, I believe, is your number 4.
Barry.
Okay,
you got him in. All right, nice safety there. My number 1. What can you say?
I love how you keep writing it down. It's like, yep, it's like payback for the entire 2 years that we've been doing this. 3 years we've been doing this.
Well, my number 1. What can you say? Basketball wouldn't be the same. The Bulls wouldn't be the same. He doesn't retire during in between the 3-peat. You're talking about
9-peat,
8-peat, 9-peat. I mean,
the Rockets don't win their championship.
Yeah. Michael Jordan.
Golly, go ahead. Put your little blinker up there again.
Oh, you didn't have him in the 90s or 2000s?
Well, I had him in the 90s. This one I had in the 90s. No, because my number 1 is your number 1, Michael Jordan. I could have said the late 80s, but it
yeah. Well, that's the whole thing is that some of these are crossover. It's like, okay, they started in the 90s. I mean, you already hinted that you got Tiger Woods and Serena in the 2000s. Yeah, you could have put them there. I mean,
yeah.
All right, so let's go to the 2000s. I got 2 double ups. No, yeah. 2 double ups. So this might save us a little bit, but
I've got no double ups.
Golly,
and I probably should. I'm
gonna go 3.
I'm going okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3. 3's okay.
All right. I'll kick it off.
Well, my number 5, I kind of brought up in Pennsylvania as my number 1. Kind of made that pretty simple. What can you say? This guy was supposed to I didn't like the guy, but I respected him for what he could do. Like I said, like what haven't we said about him more than 20 minutes ago that we can't say now? My number 5 is Kobe Bryant.
All right, my number 5. I think the 2000s in the football field. I think 2000 was just dominant on him, his team, to see how many yards he could throw, how many touchdowns he could. I just think, I don't think his arm ever wore out. I mean, so my number 5 is Drew Brees.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say Peyton Manning.
Your number 4.
My number 4. You kind of hinted at the fastest man alive back in 1980, but you learned real quick that Jamaica is actually really, really fast, and it's because of this guy. He became the world's fastest man. What can you say? He's got the perfect last name to be a sprinter. It's evident. My number 4 guy is Usain Bolt.
All right. My number 4. I must be the one that likes to put these people on the on these lists because they put their sport on the list, especially sports that we don't really think about, and soccer is one of them. My number 4 is Lionel Messi.
God, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. God, you could have put him in 2000. You could have put him in 2010.
Yeah, you could put him. Yeah, you could have put him in a lot of places.
Wow, you put
your number 3.
My number 3. This is definitely a sport we don't talk about. But if it wasn't for Aquaman himself, I don't think anybody would be talking about this in the Olympics at all. We could have put Mark Spitz in 2000 in the 1970s for what he did, but what this guy did was absolutely phenomenal. He kind of had to. I don't know why he just went Jim Rome there, but what this guy did was amazing, and that's just the understatement of the decade. My number 3 is Michael Phelps.
All right, my number 3 will go to the tennis court again. I think he just kind of popularized the sport with his play in the 2000s. I think he's part of one of the longest matches that seem to never end. And that's one Roger Federer.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out which one you were going with.
You're number 2.
Oh, Mess Around and I have the same feeling about this guy. And if it wasn't for everything that started in the 2000s, we aren't talking about. Matter of fact, I talked about him backstage. This is how bad it is. My number 2 is the New England Patriot quarterback himself, the second TB12, Tom Brady.
All right. Well, my number 2 is a double up. Half of it you got already.
Here's Peyton.
With one, Mr. Kobe Bryant.
Oh,
I got to add LeBron James into the mix. I know it's one of those crossover ones, but
no, you're good.
Yeah,
I can get that one. I can get behind that one.
All right, you're number 1.
Well, here's your crossover. My number 1, you kind of brought up, believe is your number 2 in the 1990s. Again, what can we say? He brought fresh eyes to a sport that was usually given to people who are not doctors, who are not rich, who are not meant supposedly by the standards of the old regime, not meant to play. And he brought it up into the limelight. My number 1 is Tiger Woods.
Yep, and probably in the next 5 years we'll see what his boy can do.
Yeah,
I mean, we kind of already see it in the father-son things they've been doing, or the pairing. I don't know where we see his son up, but I mean, his son could probably beat me swinging his golf clubs left-handed.
Yeah.
So, all right.
You're number 1.
Yeah, my number 1. Well, you got him a double up. You had him on singles. I doubled him up because what can you say with the Olympics? Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt. I mean, like you said, we don't talk about U.S. swimming a lot, but I think Michael Phelps now holds the record for most U.S. golds or U.S. medals. Yep. Usain Bolt, like you said, I got the greatest last name for a runner, and
exactly.
So, all right. So let's move into the 2010s now. Well, you got one already on your list on another list.
Yep.
We're not going 5. I gotta stick with 3.
I'm interested. Okay, 3's possible.
I know.
I don't know, but whatever it is, you're going to be sniping me at this point.
Yep. My number 1 or my number 5.
My number 1. Let's get it right out of the way right now. Just go number 1.
My number 5. This guy's changed the basketball world, and it's it's come all the way down to even in the elementary, middle school, high school,
Number 5.
high school game. Everybody just wants to see how far they can take a three, and we want to thank my number 5, Steph Curry, for that.
I didn't realize. I knew you were going to snipe me, but I didn't realize you're going to snipe me that quick. Because it's the phrase that pays. My number 5 is your number 5, Steph Curry, and I still remember the game. I still remember him playing in an NCAA game against the Badgers when he was at Davidson, and he still shot the lights out against Wisconsin, even though Wisconsin beat him.
All right, my number 4. What can we say? Novak. Can't even pronounce his last name.
Novak. You have Novak Djokovic.
Yes.
I've got tennis, but that's not it.
All right, you're number 4.
My number 4, we've had conversations about this guy being in the Baseball Hall of Fame. You don't think so? And I politely disagree. The guy was supposed to be the next Mickey Mantle. I think the Los Angeles Angels, and don't get me wrong, I think James Gonzalez would agree with me that they wasted his talent.
Well, they did.
Not getting this guy into the World Series. My number 4 is Mike Trout.
Yeah, I just the way everybody. I'm not saying that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. It's just one of those things where he comes up. Yes, he's got great talent. He's been injured quite a bit. A lot of people still consider him the face of baseball and the best thing that's happened. And I just don't agree with it. I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, we know you're going to be like Lavelle and not give the guy his
I'd give him his vote. I mean, he does deserve it. It's just his injuries and the lack of playoff games is what's going to hurt him.
Yeah.
So my number 3, go to the Olympics, and matter of fact, we just saw this lady perform this past Summer Olympics.
You're gonna say that don't please tell me you didn't put the break dancer on there.
No. No, I think the Vikings did a better breakdancing when they scored a touchdown than she did. She put gymnastics on the map with her and her, her groupies, her teammates. I mean, from the Atlanta games, but to keep doing what she's doing and being able to perform at the Olympics again, I'm going to put Simone Biles back up there.
It's funny. I think on my 2010 list, I have three gold medalists.
Nice. All right, okay. Your number 3.
My number 3. This is the only place I could put him because I didn't want to put him in the 2000s because nope. Because there's basketball players that deserved it well more than he did at that point. You have him at number, if I remember your list right, number 4.
Okay.
In the 2000s. I have LeBron James.
No, I had him at number 2.
You had it. Oh, okay.
My number 3, a guy I wish Minnesota would have been able to get in his prime. God, I'm thinking of somebody else, but I don't think he played for the Gophers. But Pittsburgh's second coming of their franchise was Sid Cosby.
No, he didn't. Crosby didn't. Yeah, Crosby never played hockey, college hockey. He came out of the Canadian minors. Yeah. I'm a Penguins fan, so
no, I knew you would know.
Yeah,
number 2.
My number 2, you have in the 90s. Believe it's the only tennis player I have, and you have her in the 90s. You have her at number 3.
Yep. 2. Yeah, 3.
Number 3. Well, I've got her at number 2. I could have put both of them on, but after the 90s, Venus wasn't all that good. She kind of just fell off. My number 2 is your number 3 in the 90s, Serena Williams. So technically, at this point, you've now sniped me two times from different lists. One time on this list.
Well, you got me on this one because my number 1 is your number whatever in the 2000s. I gained respect for him when he left New England and went to Tampa.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I can hear debates on him being the greatest quarterback, but to me, I don't know. That's one Tom Brady.
ladies and gentlemen,
You're number 1.
We have done something that has never been done in a show in ever.
What's that?
Ever. I have been double sniped.
Oh yeah.
My number 1 is your number 1, Tom Brady.
Oh, you had him in.
I had him in the 2000s. I had him in 2010. You've actually, I think I double sniped you at one point with Kobe Bryant from Philadelphia too, but from Pennsylvania. But
yeah. I thought you would have left him off since you had him in the 2000s. I thought maybe you would have left him off
because everything he did in the 2010s.
Yeah, I gotta give me that. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, gloat. Take
All right, so that's that. So let's get into our new category. I like it. The blind 5. Me and Tim each pick a category. Don't tell the other person what it is, and we'll see where we rank them. So, Tim, I'll let you start because I think I started last week.
You started last week with the Bears getting their new coach. I think it was. And
yeah.
Well,
all right. So, what is your blind 5 for me?
With the Super Bowl coming up, I thought it would be cool to put quarterbacks who haven't won a Super Bowl that you would want to lead your team to the Super Bowl.
All right. So they have not won a Super Bowl.
They have not won a Super Bowl.
But you want them on your team to take them to the Super Bowl.
Right. And you get them during, and remind you that you get them during your prime, their prime.
All right.
So I'm going to start right away with the San Diego great quarterback, Phillip Rivers.
There's a lot of good ones. I'll go Rivers at number 3.
Okay. So I'm going to turn the screw a little bit because he was on the Minnesota Vikings, but not necessarily at his prime. Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham at his prime, man. God, if you would have gave him.
And the thing is, you get your roster today, 2 days roster, but you get these quarterbacks in their prime.
Oh, you're giving me Randall. Okay, I got it. Oh, I'm taking Randall at number 2 then. I think with this roster and his running ability would put Pat Mahomes to shame, I think.
All right. So my next one is going to be another former Eagles quarterback who has been to the Super Bowl, who has lost the Super Bowl to the aforementioned the double sniped Tom Brady, Donovan McNabb.
Another former Viking.
Yeah, another former Viking. I didn't realize this was going to be like, hey, let's stab Brandon in the eye.
That's tough. I'll go Donovan McNabb because I wasn't a big fan of his, but he can move around. I'll go at 4 with McNabb.
Number 4. All right. So pick a number between 1 and 2.
1.5.
Well, great, thanks. That does me no good.
Well,
okay, how about right-handed versus left-handed? Who do you want?
Oh, I like the lefties. I'm a lefty.
All right, so Michael Vick.
Oh man, with this roster, I'm putting him at number 1.
And you put McNabb at number 4?
I put McNabb at 4.
All right, so you got Dan Marino at number 5.
Ooh. Yeah, but I'm not hating that one too bad because the league has turned into a mobile quarterback. You have to have a running quarterback, and Marino was okay at it, but
he's think Manning running.
What's that?
He was like Peyton Manning running. It was
Yeah.
it was ugly.
Yeah. I think if you get prime Vic with the Vikings or Randall Cunningham with the Vikings prime, you're not touching them. I mean,
Right.
they're going to go 14-3, most of the years with those guys in their prime. So I actually kind of like that list. That was a good one. Not too upset that Marino is there, but All right. Well, you kind of went sports. I'm going to sports. I'm going to go to the gridiron too.
Oh, no.
I got the 5 fictional football players.
Oh, God. Okay.
And this could be movie and TV.
Holy smokes. Okay.
All right.
These guys.
I'm going to go with Mr. Al Bundy.
Oh, and his poke high 5 touchdowns. Just remembering who else could be on this list kind of scares me. I'm looking at Bobby Boucher, freaking Shark LeVay, Paul Crew. Good Lord. I got to go 3. He's a running back, but he's a tall running back too. So
Let's go with the aforementioned Bobby Boucher.
2. I 2.
Let's go with 1 Becky Icebox O'Shea.
Oh man, which is funny because she played against Al Bundy's. She played against Al Bundy
Giants. Yep.
on Little Giants. God, can I double her up on Bobby Boucher? I love defense. That's my problem. God, I gotta put her at. I so want to put her at 1, but I'm afraid. I'm gonna go 4, and I'm just gonna be sick about it.
Your next one. You can't replace him in the movie as one. I can't think of the coach now. Said Gary Batier.
What movie was that from?
Remember the Titans.
Oh no. Oh, at this point, Al Bundy's not playing. He's on 5 at this point. Golly. Yeah, I can't. Oh, this is left side weak. This is like left side weak side.
Yep.
This is the guy that ended up.
You have 1 and 5 left.
Oh, put Gary at 1. Here
and the quarterback of the ball, Willie Beeman.
Oh, geez. No, he's
at number 5.
Put Beeman on your team so he could win a Super Bowl.
You put Bertier at 1?
At 1. This guy was he's not really because he wasn't really fictional. He was a real player.
Who?
Gary Batier was a real guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it was a biography.
Oh, okay.
I still take Gary.
I actually saw that list on another media website. They said fictional character.
But yeah, Gary Batier was real, but no, yeah, but Gary, I take Gary all day long. I'd put if I didn't think Gary Batier was on that list, yeah, Icebox is number 1 without a question. But yeah.
I had Beeman at 1, Batier at 2, Bundy at 3, Icebox at 4, and then Bobby Boucher at 5.
So you said you had Icebox at what, number
4? Yeah, we had Al Bundy of Icebox at the same spot.
No, I had Icebox at 2. No, I had Icebox at 4. You're right. The only one we had switched was Boucher and Beeman.
Yeah. So with that being said, Tim, what's your final thoughts?
Holy smokes! Interesting. I'm still flabbergasted on your blind 5. I didn't realize we were both going sports, but that happens. No, I enjoy this. I had a lot of fun. We've got a lot of great shows here on C2C. We don't have a subscribe button, don't we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. We need to think about that. We still got the stars. Hey, we don't have the little subscribe thing. You hit the button for the little stars and send us some stars.
Yeah. So with that being said, yeah, keep checking us out. I don't know if there'll be a morning tailgate this week, but definitely watch out for the Super Bowl show. February 4th, I will have my third interview with the St. Paul Saints indoor football team. Coach Cody will join me. He'll bring in 2023's National Running Back of the Year, Isaiah Sims. It'll be fun to talk to him and get his perspective on going from 11-man to indoor football and how his game's going to change. Yeah, just keep checking us out. I know our group is trying to get together and do a kicking it show and stuff like that, but round table, but everybody's schedule is just so whacked right now. Callan, I hope you're feeling better. I know you said you were under the weather a little bit, so get back so we can get to the Iron Immaculate Grid and late night with you and James. But entertainment hour on Friday with Dragon Viper, Chris, and James. So with that being said, we'll see y'all next week. C2C Rankem. Have a good one.